Hello and welcome to a midweek edition of Wardy's Waffle. I'm focusing this one purely on Agrii's Open Day. They have a technology centre at Stow Longer near Huntingdon, and I took Ruben and Tom down there to have a look at all the various trials they're doing, and this is where I picked up and learnt a few years ago on how to manage our blackgrass, and it's really where I got all the ideas from and started me on our sort of journey and our crusade of trying to deal with blackgrass. So we look at that in quite detail and all the various crops and the trials that they've got. And then here we've got a crop of wheat behind us. You can see it's not quite ready for harvesting. We're going to be getting into the oats early part of next week, but we're getting there. And just one more thing, I've had a few of you ask for a further update on the barley plots. It would have been too long to put into this update, so I'm going to do that record that in the next couple of days, and that will go out on Sunday morning along with one or two other things as well. So the final update before harvest of the barley direct drilling plots will be at the weekend next Sunday. So without any more from me, let's get into this midweek update. I've just come with Tom and Ruben, and our agronomist Fred Fowler has brought us to the Agrii. It's not an art farm, it's their technology centre at Stow Longer near Huntingdon in Cambridgeshire, and there'll be a lot here. So always good here to come and see, look at the trial site and everything, see how much work they're doing in R&D, which is fantastic.
We're going to do 3 stations, well actually 3.5 if we include Gary's little bit in a minute. So all I need to say obviously is look after yourselves this morning. We know it's going to get hot. There are hats in there, and please, before you go, take a bottle of water. We'll put some more water on the trailer because you have a little ride as well. It's all part of it. It's all inclusive.
Just want to quickly talk through the latest incarnation as far as closed transfer is concerned. So it replaces something we're familiar with, and it's on something familiar with, a standard 1 to 10 litre can. So that's the first good bit, definitely. With a cap first of all, so then you can see how it functions. So your can goes on, and then it goes this first position, and it's locked in. This unit itself will probably be attached to the spray store or in the spray store or on a Bowser. It can be on the sprayer, but more likely not to be, but there are options. Doesn't need power. It takes its power as such from the sprayer. It uses basically the suction that's there from the induction hopper. So once that's locked in, you then carry on pulling the handle. It lifts the cap that's inside there, and your product starts to transfer to the sprayer. If you're only using a part can, you can then regulate the flow, and when you complete, you shut off. On a full can, you just open that off, let it flow. When you've completed the filling, this then becomes a cleaning head. So you can then carry out the triple rinse as you have previously and rinse that can through. When the job's done, it goes back to the first position. You clean out the head and the unit in there, and then you release the can. So yeah, products are going to be a bit more viscous, but this is just using gravity. We've not got it connected to the sprayer because you don't want the noise and all that in the background. So this is, it gives you a sort of an idea of how the system works. So, can on. The point to watch, so as you can see, is this point here where the liquid flow is. Okay, so open that up. Our liquid starts flowing. You can hear that gurgling away nicely. There we go. It's about 4.5 seconds, I think is what we sort of timed it at. So very quick. Then we can do our flushers. So we've got the flush head on here, we can flush it through. You can also rotate the can if you want to get to that. And then on completion, flush through in the unit here. Off it comes. At this point, if you look at some of the demonstrations, that you have a drain unit, so you put that on, and basically what happens when you push that, the inner cap just pops out and stays in the can. But basically that is now ready for recycling.
So they won't be refilled with the same chemical, they will
They'll just go into the recycling process for whatever they become in the future.
So currently there are 2 standards. There was 3. I've been sort of informed that when it comes back there might well be 5 standards, but at the moment there's 2. So the introductory standard pays you £22 per hectare, the intermediate standard pays you £40 per hectare. So what it's asking you to do is pretty, is pretty straightforward, particularly in the introductory level. So a number of things that you have to do. It says complete a soil assessment and write a soil management plan. Now Steve will talk to you a lot about soil management plans, but essentially for this it doesn't need to be very complicated, because to be honest with you, you can't afford for it to be very complicated for 20 quid a hectare. So as long as you've got some record here, something like that would do, where you've assessed the profile, looked particularly for signs of compaction, and just said what you would do, a bit of a bit of subsoil, whatever it might be, I think that's perfectly adequate as a record to satisfy that. It also says, quite worrying, it sounds worrying, it says you should include organic matter on 1/3 of the land that you enter into the basic scheme. But that can include the chopped straw, so that's a little bit misleading. When we move on to the intermediate standard, you have to do all of the above, which includes, and I'll come back to this, you also have to record the organic matter. Now I'll come back to soil testing in a moment. For the intermediate standard, for the £40 a hectare, now you have to include a sown multi-species mix of a cover crop, in inverted commas. So that's on 20% of the land that you enter into the scheme. So now you're starting to sort of involve some extra costs. Now, as I said before, if you're already doing that, and many farmers come here and have come and said, well, I'm doing it already and it works really well, absolutely, why would you not take that extra 40 quid? Makes perfect sense. On the other hand, again, just know what you've always seen, because as I'm saying to groups, just think about it, because it could be 40 quid could be a very cheap tail wagging a very expensive dog. If you end up doing something because you've got to conform to this that doesn't work with your soil, and that loses you a tonne, 2 tonne a hectare, then it could be a bad decision. A few years ago, we were asking the same question here with stewardship a number of years ago. Can we put in grass and flowers for a number of years to outcompete the black grass, get paid stewardship money, and then take it out into a nice crop of wheat at some point in the future? So we ran that for a number of years, and we took out strips, and we found that after 2, 3, and even 4 years, we'd still got black grass. So that project came to an end, but what it did do was gave us the opportunity to have a continuous wheat project, because we were being asked at that time quite a lot. This is rotations. I can't keep spending money growing oilseed rape. I'm putting it in, I'm spending a lot of money, and then I'm ploughing it up, or I'm getting rid of it because it's failed. Over here, what you can see hopefully is that the higher and greener squares are in the bottom 4 treatments. The bottom 4 treatments all had nutrients to support the nitrogen and sulfur. The top 2 had just nitrogen and sulfur. On an index 2+K, where the straw is returned, not taken away, we're regularly seeing a tonne a hectare yield response to fresh K in the spring. If we look at the gross margins, treatment 3, gross margin 1,030. Gross margin from treatment 5, 643. Because it was skyfall, part of that gross margin is made up from the milling premium. So you would expect that if you put on only 164 kilos of N and you've got the top yield, you're going to dilute your protein. In actual fact, it was the top protein, 13.67 compared to 10.88.
First 60 metres, generally, because then I'll change my mind. First 60 metres generally has been a plough-based system for 6 years. And you can sort of say, well, why? Remembering here that the cultivation work in the far field we did in 2010 to 15, which had been min-tilled for several years. We'd used a plough, dig one pass, min-till, strip-till, then overlaid across it. And anyway, after 5 years, we had a giant lattice of 512 different ways of cultivating a field for blackgrass. So we kind of thought we'd been there, done that. So it's going to go into a spring crop. It gets it from the autumn ploughing, yeah? It's not spring ploughing. And when we drill, we don't cultivate. That's it. Off we go after glyphosate. So they are 6 1-hectare blocks by 3 different cultivation strategies, and we'll start to have a look. Last year, when the whole block was ploughed for 5 years, and that was it, there was 16 ears per square metre of blackgrass. We now have 157. So, moving from one to the other in one move, yeah, from ploughing to a direct drill basis, the blackgrass suddenly started to decline. Why? Well, one reason it was the straw management. Yeah, trying to get the drill to work as nicely as possible. Okay, so it's a tine drill, if as a low disturbance tine drill, so we didn't hairpin, but there was still plenty of straw in the system. That's why it's a little bit gappy, and as soon as you get a little bit of a gappiness and a bit of straw laying about, what comes to say hello? Blackgrass. So here we are. So we already know, for example, from the blackgrass numbers, that we've lost 1.5 tons a hectare in yield. Fourth winter cereal, which happened to be KWS Zayat. And we got here an absolute pickle. Pickle in this block because of soft meadow brome, soft stroke meadow brome. 230 ears per square metre with 130 ears per square metre of blackgrass. The plough-based area, because Steve doesn't believe in ever scoring a 0, because somebody will find one, had the massive score of 0.25 of an ear of brome, and here 230. So something clearly had gone wrong. Just as we go past, this is the 5-year plough block, remember, with a direct drill first year. This is also a second wheat. Then there's the plough-based area beyond it, and so on. But this is reasonably benign. You get though to the spring barley, and it makes the point. So the spring barley here, of course, with that sky direct drill in the spring on 5 years of ploughing, it's okay, but you can see it's quite thin compared to behind the plough-based system, which you can see is much more robust. Then there's the reset plough area to the white cane or the white sign, and beyond that where we looked at in that thin area with the min-till direct drill with the grass. So same variety, same seed rate, same drill, same day, and you have completely different spring barley crops with completely different grass weed levels. So it really does show that you can make some big changes. This is the hybrid barley, and save the little drilling area right in the front here. You can see that actually, yes, you might see a step up slightly to the plough-based system behind, but the hybrid barley is pretty good all the way through, showing that robustness. And you can see the crop is pretty clean from a blackgrass point of view. Next job in there, of course, on Wednesday is to cut it and get some data. The next one is the spring oats. Remember, I was saying how much more robust they are than spring barley, suboptimal, and in front of you can see that's a decent crop of spring oats, really. Remember, 5 years of ploughing doesn't buy you resilience, it buys you grass weed control. And so it'll still pack down on itself, and to just go straight through the direct drill is okay with oats, but you know, it's tight. You can still see the plough-based system behind those still stands up there, but a decent crop of spring oats all the way through. The winter beans comes back to the point we looked at. Remember, they're all Claydon drilled in. That tighter area at the back where we were looking at, that 6 years of min-till direct drill, was not very special. Here, look, still, after 5 years of ploughing and the Claydon, you can see the big difference with compaction compared to the beans that are ploughed behind. So again, how sensitive, what a good barometer winter beans can be, and telling us we need to do something else. And then you get back to the wheat we started with, the second wheat. And here, just as I think a nice reminder, here's the direct drilling in front of us. We've now inherited our blackgrass numbers back again with a gappier crop, the plough-based system behind it. Then you get to the signs, which is, remember, plough reset. Beyond that, we just kept going. So the blackgrass numbers, 157 in front of us, direct drill, 16 continuous plough, 34 where we've ploughed for the first time after 5 years, and beyond that, 349. So you have very different levels of blackgrass in just one wheat crop by cultivation strategy. So hopefully the good news is you can break it, but it does show if you're pragmatic enough to do something different, you can get a completely different answer.
Culling some spring oats, spring barleys, etc. So the spring oat here drilled 21st of March with the Sky Easy drill, only just goable. The one thing you have to have is patience with this type of system. If you're going in with that sort of drill unit, you're not disturbing the ground, you're going to go straight in the spring, and actually you need to be, and you often are, sort of a little bit behind the other drilling that may take place. So that is a March drilled, as I say, spring oat, but that's my barometer. That's going to give us the yield, and that will, most importantly, as Colin's probably already said, give us the margin. So for 8 years we've taken this to margin, and we know how all of these blocks perform. Spring wheat, all we've done, that's the same field. Here you can see all that black grass, and it's brought that yield down. All we've done there is change from a 7-inch A share on the claydon down to a 3-inch. So that's called less disturbance at the drill point. It's back to that point I made that back there in the yard. If we're going to disturb, if we're going to do anything with the soil, we want to do it well away from the drilling, and I want to have gone deeper than what the drilling will do itself. Because if you look at this soil food web, and if you take note of government and those people are asking us to do soil audits, of course the worm is very important. And we've engaged with a learning group of scientists from the Centre of Ecology and Hydrology over in Oxfordshire. They've then taken those core samples and they've done DNA tests on the soil matter. And within one core sample, they came back with some staggering points. There were 62,000 bacteria within that one core sample, different bacteria, some of which are yet to be identified. So when somebody tells me actually scratching down and counting worms is an indicator of your soil, it's not the full picture though, is it? I've got 62,000 of those bacteria going on here. I've got 2,000 fungi, and I've got 4,000 eukaryotes, which are the microorganisms and microbacteria, etc., that can't see. All that is within this. And we have to go to a DNA level to even start to understand some of it. And we don't know what all of it is. So to try to get any sense out of that and put it into layman's terms, we come to this side of the chart. Because this side of the chart is the trial now behind me. So we have got a block here that has been ploughed for 8 years. We've got areas that have been deep cultivated, or shallow cultivated, or direct drilled for 8 years. And they are showing some pattern if we look at just 3 beneficials and 3 harmful either microorganisms or pathogens. So in terms of the beneficial microorganisms, they're represented in the top here. They are associated with nitrogen fixing, with take-all decline, for instance. We know that what they do from that bunch. And if we look at the effects of some of what we've done on them, that is really what they're doing over this side. So what they're saying is, if the arrows are coming this way, what they're saying in general is, the cultivations in general, depending on what depth, we have had some effect on them, but not a real measurable amount. Turn the soil upside down, where we have had a decline in those beneficial microorganisms. Now, to what level we don't know, but there is a trend that says there is a change. So that's a start point. Never been here before. Over this side of the cover crops, whether they be phacelias, all radish, mustards, black oats, vetches, all of these have a positive trend on those beneficials. Else, just us saying, okay, I'm going direct drilling. I'm going to save money on everything else. This is what I'm going to do on this soil type. Starting off with that picture that I said. So you may call us foolish, but sometimes you've got to try these things. So, very different situation. That ain't going in as easy. If anybody wants to have a go, they can do, but it will come out in a minute. There we go. You see the sort of size clod we've got breaking there. But essentially, again, if I can get that back and out here, it shows the sort of profile we've got. So, is it compact? Well, it's tighter and stronger. It's absolutely riddled full of wormholes. So if I was to do my worm count, I'd be saying, whoopie-doo, this is healthier than what we've got back there. So certainly within that top layer, I could drill into this with the Sky Easy drill or the Cayena. A little bit drying now. The moisture generally, certainly similar right the way through. It's the first one I've got actually, and the amount of worms, there's several down there, but essentially all the way through here, and I'm very interested in this profile because this has changed. It's not had anything in there apart from a few plant roots and a lot of worms. The worms have done most of that, and that is moist, just falling apart in my fingers. That's called nature. It's taken me 8 years. It's on that other side, maybe. But essentially, that's a lovely lot of root. Look at that lot. So in terms of friability for drilling, this is absolutely setting up for me for that autumn drill situation, because I've got all that root that's going to help me with that soil friability. That will start to build and allow us then to seriously look at our nitrogen inputs. And with the work that David's talked about across there with the polysulfate and other things, you know, reducing nitrogen then becomes a serious option for us, and I think that's where we need to be.
So, Steve Corbett, those of you who watch regularly know that Steve comes and does a lot with us. Just asking how many years have we been going here at Stow Longer? And so you can see
I brought you to this post.
Yes, you brought us this.
We've got an official plaque, and there's 21 years of research here.
And I love that.
And they make it up anyway at the bottom there. That's a bit of a throwaway comment by the farmer here, who reckons we do make it up, but we don't. It's
No,
serious stuff, honest.
Yeah, I mean, there is. I know. And I don't know whether I've been in 2000, but I've certainly been coming here maybe mid 2000s. I think.
Well, I think the interesting thing from your point of view is you came and you saw it here.
Yeah.
And said, I want some of that.
I want some of that.
And you went back home and jolly well did it.
And changed what we're doing, and we're still changing stuff
Still
now.
changing, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, these cover crops and everything else are not easy.
No.
Whether they're right in every situation, I doubt it.
No.
But we're still trying, aren't we? So that's
How many open days do you have? Have you had up to now? This is the last one.
We started on the 31st of May.
Yeah.
We've had 4 main farmer open days.
Yeah.
But then we've had our own agronomists, internal agronomists, independent agronomists.
And you'll get 50 in the morning, 50 in the afternoon each day.
Yeah. So we'll be several hundreds, if not thousands, by the time we finish.
Fascinating. I love it. I think it's so much to learn.
The last one's tomorrow.
Yeah. And you'll be well ready for your holiday down in Devon.
Yeah.
Thanks. Just got the afternoon session rolled up. We've just all had lunch together. So the afternoon session is about to go, and we're going home. There we are. There's still a bit left. Done a fantastic job, girls. Thank you. Look at those. Fantastic. Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching. You can see why we do so much with Agrii. They are really right up there with all the guys they have doing the trials and research work and the forward-thinking approach to things. And you can just see why we have them on the farm and why I like to be involved with them and do things with them. So hope you've enjoyed that. Please click like and subscribe, and we'll see you on Sunday morning for a full update of our direct drilling plots. That will be the last update before harvest, and a few other snippets as well. So until Sunday, cheerio, and thank you for watching.